you have this exquisite machine that is designed to hunt and kill surface-to-air missile systems. It did it very well in Venezuela. It did it very well in Iran. Do we have enough training assets in the States or in peacetime? We would say no.
Today's guest is a former F-15E pilot with the U.S. Air Force and currently COO of Disruptive Electronic Warfare Machines, aka DEWM. Please welcome Clark Slider Haymond. Low-cost training options are how we maintain readiness, because when things are broken or expensive, you don't actually get to test in a real-world environment, and then you're in trouble.
You still look at, again, back to the Lucas drone, what does that do for us now? What doctrine does that solve? And I don't think that's written yet.
I mean, and I think you've seen some of those other articles too, which is if you tell Claude or OpenAI to go win the war, every scenario ends with a nuclear weapon.
Oh boy.
Thanks for flying out from Utah to come hang out with us for
Absolutely.
the day.
Thanks, Dan.
So you have a super interesting background. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did before you got into kind of EW as a profession?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Or maybe EW was a profession.
It actually wasn't, but I've grown to love it. So I'm an Air Force guy by background. I'm a fighter pilot, flew the F-15E for about 12 years, and then separated back in 2023. Still in the reserves out at the AOC out in Hawaii. So it's been fighting the Pacific with you in uniform. But yeah, it was a good time learning to fly the Strike Eagle, becoming a pilot. I knew nothing about aviation prior to getting in. I was one of those 9/11 guys that saw it and was like, I want to go serve, and what better way than following Maverick and Goose to F-15s. So,
amazing.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So, okay, I want to actually just ask, we've lost a couple of the 15s, right, in the current conflict?
The 4 went down so far in Iran, yeah.
And were they anti-aircraft or
So
missiles?
all this is open source, so I don't really know much more than what you can read, but the first 3 Strike Eagles were shot down over Kuwait, friendly fire incident. A lot of questions about what happened there.
Oops.
Yeah,
it's an expensive oops.
And then the other one was over Iran, obviously, with the 2 aircrew ejecting, and the one getting picked up, the pilot getting picked up pretty quickly, and then the Wizzo spending his hours out in the hostile territory surviving, which is an incredible story.
Tracking the heartbeat.
Yeah, if that ends up being true, that's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm with you, right? It's some incredible propaganda that we can find somebody based on a heartbeat. So
sources say
TBD. Yeah. People are saying, as Donald says. All right. So talk to me about kind of being a veteran and then transitioning into defense tech.
Yeah, I got my first taste of defense tech while I was still in the Air Force. There was this program called the Defense Ventures Fellowship. So for familiar, it was a great program, and it's now no longer a thing, which is a bummer. But it's kind of pre-Skill Bridge, but Skill Bridge-y. And I spent 3 months with the company Hermeus and traveling down to Atlanta and visiting those guys and AJ and the team, and it was incredible. And so peeking behind that curtain while still having both my feet, in the Air Force, really opened my eyes to what the realm of possible and being able to continue to serve in a different way. And so it was really exciting for me.
What was the most interesting thing seeing a fast growth startup like Hermeus after being in, the military?
Yeah, we're slow and unmovable and red tapey. And in this world, it's a couple of guys with some money and making some decisions and fighting for their lives, and the dichotomy couldn't be more different, and so it was definitely interesting for me to see people that with grit that had to get stuff done, or else we got to roll up the doors and we're done here, Versus in the Air Force, there's always another assignment, there's always something to outlast, there's another exercise. Now the risks are different too, right? Your life is on the line here, whereas your livelihood is on the line. But it was a cool environment to work in. Being a type A guy and expecting high results from other people, being surrounded by those types of people in a different environment besides the fighter squadron, I was like, oh, so it does exist elsewhere, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's good.
What were some things you wish you could have taken from, let's call it that first internship, we'll talk about DEWM in a minute,
Sure.
and brought back into, your fighter squadron?
I like if we were able to not only empower the squadron commanders and the wing commanders with, they have a lot of power with human resources, and they control a lot with your future career and where you're going to go next, and your next job. They don't do a lot with the financial resources, and because that's coming down from on high. And as you know more than most, you're working the phones and talking to beating the lobbyists around and trying to get that world. That never trickles down. And they have some funds and they're able to move a little bit here and there, but there's not a big swing. And what I saw at Hermeus was the ability to make some pretty amazing decisions from lower tiers and affect a lot of change that way. We talk about a lot of innovation in the Air Force and making changes. In practice, it just never quite became innovative, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about like management versus leadership, a good leader empowers the people below them to make, to have the confidence to go make the right decision, hopefully.
Right. Yeah,
right?
You're right. And it's not to say, I mean, I saw managers and leaders for sure in the Air Force as well. They're using $100 million+ airplanes on a daily basis. So it's not to say that they don't have financial kind of strings, but there's not a lot of change occurring. It's kind of mostly just going on to get along and not a lot of disruption occurring. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. The current Air Force leadership is speaking of a good game, and it's impressive to see the changes that they project. Whether that trickles down, we'll see.
You know what forces change? A crisis. And what do we have right now?
Yeah.
A crisis.
Pretty amazing. You're right.
Yeah.
I
don't think we want anyone to die, but like it is in times of crisis that you have to reevaluate from top down how you do stuff, right? Yeah,
and you're really putting a lot of what the preparation was to the test. Stuff like the Lucas drone coming out day one. You're like, whoa, we're trying it right out of the gate, I hope there's other technologies that have been proven over the last 2 months. I'm sure there have been, so it's cool to see that happen. But you're right. I mean, when push comes to shove, we could probably argue why we're in the war we're in, but we're in it now. So let's go win the thing and move on.
Yeah, that is a perfect segue into what you do.
All right.
So tell us about DEWM. Yeah,
so DEWM stands for Disruptive Electronic Warfare Machines. DEWM was formed about 3 years ago, all veteran-owned. And it's Intel officer is kind of our CEO, and so he brings the beeps and squeaks knowledge. And then we have 3 other fighter pilots that are on the team, kind of the leadership team. And we obviously bring a lot of the operational aspects. And everything that we're doing right now is focused on solving the problems that we lived for many years. Specifically, initially, is in the training world, and even more specifically, mostly for the F-35. None of us flew F-35s, but we know the mission set well, and we know what they need. Basically, what we're looking at is a problem where you have this exquisite machine that is designed to hunt and kill surface-to-air missile systems, SAMs. And it did it very well in Venezuela. It did it very well in Iran. And the question mark that we kind of the hypothesis that we run with is, do we have enough training assets in the States or in peacetime? We would say no. And a lot of the problem comes to, we're bringing this old Russian kind of war mentality on our ranges into the double-digit SAM situation that we're facing with other threats. And the training devices used to do that have not grown. They're big, they're expensive, they require a ton of power. And so kind of what we're going with is, can we design a device or a suite of devices that can produce a similar signal at a cost point that you can develop in mass and get it out in the range. And even so cheap that, we put weapons on it. A lot of our customers are actually blowing them up.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that with the old stuff.
Sure.
Too expensive.
Yeah.
So, and we just didn't have enough of them.
Mm-hmm. From a business standpoint, too, anything you blow up is great.
I agree. You got to buy a new one.
You got to buy a new one.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So you're at this really interesting inflection point that I think you're starting to see across the whole defense tech industry, which is like, Cold War, Russia War was Exquisite will beat mass. Now we're seeing that Exquisite can be brought onto mass. You know what I mean? Like
Correct.
this idea that we had a monopoly on like GPS technologies or like location-based and systems or easily to maneuver systems for precision-based strike. Everyone has that now.
Correct.
Right? So like how do you see that shifting world? I mean, you've started to explain it, right? But like give us like a state of the union on where you think this Exquisite meets Attritable, story is today in the government or in the DOW.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point, especially as a fighter pilot. I mean, I get loaded up with multi-million-dollar missiles on my jet, and I get put into a situation where I'm dropping tens of thousands of dollars worth of weapons, each one, on a target. And, you start doing the math, and there's a lot of money moving through this. And it's the Boeings of the world that developed the tail kit that works with the GPS satellites, and the McDonnell Douglas initially made the aircraft, but now Boeing, and it's just like the money just keeps adding up and up. Whereas you could take a system like yours or any other quadcopter with a hand grenade at this point and completely eliminate my aircraft while it's sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
It changes a lot, and the counter UAS stuff that you did previously, but I mean. All of these things are going to be amplified and needed as we go into the next war. I'm not saying we still need fighters. I mean, in my opinion, we do. Mm-hmm. Working side by side with unmanned systems for sure.
Yep.
But you still look at, again, back to the Lucas drone. What does that do for us now? And what doctrine does that solve? And I don't think that's written yet.
Right.
And maybe that's why people like you guys and your great team here at Firestorm are around.
So let's talk a little bit. We'll do two topics about the current combat or the conflict right now. But I want you to talk to me a little bit about the Wingman. Right? How do you think unmanned aerial vehicles fit in as Wingman in future combat?
Yeah, the concepts are amazing. And, they range from being out there to go, I'm going to send you out and you're going to find your own targets and engage your own targets and just report back to me. Or is it a man in the loop or man on the loop type of situation where you're sending me back data and I'm able to maybe change what you're thinking and continue to execute? I don't know how it's going to work in practicality.
Sure.
Communication. How do we make sure that we maintain communication if we need to? I don't know. Maybe it's a full autonomous situation. I trained young fighter pilots in one of my assignments, and I'll tell you what, you go from essentially a child in the airplane being barely safe to being very lethal quickly. And we expect a lot of our humans to progress in a syllabus very quickly. I would hope that we're going to see very similar things with our AI-based wingmen. And as we continue to train them and mold them and run them through scenarios, hopefully they become these lethal, animals for us to be able to control and move on. Is it the Jessica Biel stealth movie? Hope not.
For sure.
That's always a concern,
of course.
But we'll see what happens. You
think institutionally we're there for that type of trust the AI machine to go hunt and kill?
I mean, institutionally, are you guys in this company trusting the AI yet? It's a lot of companies do, and it's kind of one of those I don't know. Maybe I could have some AI build a code, but let's go check it again.
There's some articles during I think the first or second month of the ground war in Gaza where they turned the AI on to pick targets,
right? And
they just started flattening everything, and then they freaked out and turned it off.
Oh boy, yeah.
So like, I mean, and
Not
I think
shocked.
you've seen some of those other articles too, which is if you like tell Anthropic or, you tell Claude or OpenAI to go win the war, it's like every scenario ends with a nuclear weapon.
Right. Oh boy.
Yeah. Guys.
A little far.
We have a couple rules here. Okay. So that, I mean, you're making really good points. It's almost like maybe not institutionally, but more culturally, are we going to trust the robots to do some of this stuff?
Well, and it's hard because we're sitting now on the defense tech side, and we want to get investors or really speak a big game. But when push comes to shove, and you're the guy in the field with the machine that's been promised to you, is it going to work the same way that you were promised? And that's our job, is to make sure it does.
Yeah.
And that's a frustration we live with every day in DEWM, is because we lived it, we knew it, we hated it. Like, you guys promise all these good things, and I don't even use this software that you gave me. And so let's not be that company for sure. So,
how do you like embody that or live that?
For us, we look at our products and everything we say through that lens of as a customer first. Luckily, we are with our customers, so that's easy for now. It's not always going to be the case. I mean, there's a lot of different avenues that we're looking down that we know nothing about, and so. But I think it's important to bring those folks into the team that can interpret what they're saying and help us explain it to us, like what we need to know to solve this next problem.
Yeah, so it's basically that get the product into the end user's hands, get the feedback from the end user,
100%.
and then build the next iteration of the product
fix it.
in that circle. Yeah. And how easy or hard has that been for you to actually, I mean, being former military, I'm sure it's easier to get the stuff into people's hands. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we had a leg up to get some testing done early, calling in favors and knowing people that are still flying airplanes on a day-to-day basis.
Pilot light's still on, so you can make some phone calls.
Yeah, totally. And I guess, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. We're definitely leveraging those contacts early on. At this point, we have enough credibility where it's not necessary, I'd say, and we're going through the more traditional routes. But as an early startup, you got to definitely look for avenues to get out to the field as fast as you can. And there's a lot of barriers to it. It's not easy. And going either through AFWorks or SBIRs or that kind of stuff really helps to kind of hit the fast forward button. And luckily, we're able to know enough people in the right place, the right time to get there.
Do you guys have a lobbyist?
We do not.
You need one.
Probably. We had this discussion this week, actually.
Very helpful for the value of death.
Yeah.
Okay, so
do you know one? You had a little recommendation?
I got a couple I can send you. Yeah, I won't say them on air, but I'll make some intros. How's that?
Great.
So, all right. So, your go-to-market strategy. How much harder would it have been, right, if you guys weren't able to call in those favors?
Likely we wouldn't exist.
Okay, so you're now identifying, I think, one of the key problems with defense tech, right? And that's why I think a lot of funds who invest in companies are starting to look for at least having one founder who's a veteran,
right?
So that they can get into the door,
sure.
Right? How you have a magic wand? How do you fix that problem on the government side, right? Getting access and technology and access to the warfighter.
You need the warfighter involved. So many times, I'm sure you've been there too, is you get to this, this innovative exercise and like, where's the fighter pilots? That's who I need to be talking to.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, we don't have any, but here's a helicopter guy that, okay, it's not the same,
Right.
And that's a double-edged sword, right? Because as the fighter pilot, I didn't want to go do that bullcrap, Yep. And so it's hard to understand how important it is. And what's cool is there are those that do take kind of ownership of this and they run with it. And to see young captains or even lieutenants or majors that are like, no, boss, this is important, and I want to fight for this and do it, and they win, it's awesome, And hopefully that spawns their, as they grow in either leadership in the Air Force or maybe they're going to get out and do something amazing.
Would you say the culture of innovation, especially at the younger levels in the Air Force, is there, or is it still kind of nascent?
The words are said.
Sure. Actions speak louder, though.
I mean, every innovative squadron has a 3D printer. And it's like, okay, well, what are you guys doing with it? You know, it's not just like VR headsets and 3D printers that make something innovative. You need to have the idea, the problem that you're going to go solve and fix and radically change. And sure, maybe it includes that stuff, but it might not.
All right. So let me ask you one more question on Doom, and then I want to go back to the conflict in the Middle East. And so what do you guys have next? What's on tap?
So we kind of have three heads that we're trying to go after from a market strategy perspective. Mm-hmm. One is the training and testing world. Mm-hmm. And that area is, I'd say, pretty well scoped out, especially in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. So that's been fun, getting back to the friends and doing that stuff. The other pieces are in the operational use case. Mm-hmm. So we replicate bad guy signals in training all the time. Yep. We can also replicate good guy signals. Yep. There's the idea of raising the RF noise floor and that kind of stuff, and just creating RF environments with a high-powered emitter in a small case at a cheap price. You can do a lot of damage. So that's probably the place that we're most focused on growth-wise, and probably has the most capacity for us to really blow out the company, which is great.
If you look at the conflict in Ukraine, I think 50 to 60% of the drones shot every night have low-cost emitters on it to act as decoys to try and suck up all the expensive interceptors. Correct. Right? It's a brilliant idea. Yep. And if anyone from the DoD or DOW is listening, we need to put a lot of those on our drones.
I agree.
Okay, so let's go kind of big picture here. I mean, you said you're still a reservist in the Pacific. Mm-hmm. What are we learning in the Middle East conflict right now that's going to be applicable? Hopefully, we don't have the next fight, but if there is a next fight in the Pacific.
The thing that comes to my mind, we saw Russia, big bad Russia. We've trained against them our whole lives, and it didn't turn out to be as bad as we thought. Then we saw Iran. We've been hearing about Iran and their defenses, and I mean, how many aircraft are going to get shot down by Iran on night one? And it didn't end up being as bad as we thought.
The Kuwaitis hurt us more.
Yeah, here we are. Is that the same out in the Pacific? That's a gut check, right?
Paper tiger.
Right? Now, we can all agree that there's mass. And the water isn't getting any smaller. So that contested logistics problem is very real. There's no kind of hiding around that. But what if the enemy isn't as bad as you think? Mm-hmm. Does that change anything? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I think it's crazy to me that we kind of just pass over that in World War II, we just essentially took over all these islands, and it was easy. But now you're looking at it like, oh, this is an impossible problem. Like, but wait, didn't we already do it? Like, haven't we already been here before? Yeah. Obviously, it changes now with weapons that are able to reach out and touch you in different places. But it definitely brings a question mark to my mind: is China as bad as you think, or do we need them to be as bad as we think? Is this a defense industrial base, big thing that we're creating and
for the next round of spend?
Right. Maybe. I don't know. So, yeah, it's an interesting situation.
I think it's also kind of like probably the closest to an existential threat we have is like a global system. And we always forget this, that like the reason our lives are so easy is because everyone buys US dollars. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If we lose that, then we lose the hegemony and world looks a little different for us, right? So Pax Americana does have some costs. Yeah. But like China, like if they want a new world order where they're the factory for the whole world because that's what gives them jobs and safety, like how do they try and rewrite what's happening right now? I mean, the other thing here too is now you're seeing the U.S. is saying we're going to nearshore, onshore. Right. Just this week, the Europeans basically said we're going to change our trade deal with you, China, and we're going to start opening factories again in Europe. So like that's the other question, right? Do we have a caged tiger here or an aging lion is what someone always says, like you got Xi who's looking to make his mark and he has no one around him to tell him no because he killed everybody.
And what's crazy to me too, we were talking earlier about the 50-year plan. As I understand it, I'm just starting to kind of get into this, but their population is not being replaced.
No.
After all these decades
Yeah.
of not having children, look at where they're at now, and maybe there's only decades left until this thing goes the other way.
Contained.
Yeah. Maybe that's the play.
Yeah, that's what, if you follow Peter Zion at all, that's his whole argument is they've lied about the data now for decades. There's probably a lot less people than we think, and the decline is so massive that like they've already they've passed the point of no return.
Right.
And it's like
Just wait.
US just like
Hold off.
don't be crazy internally for a couple for 10 years.
You know
what I mean?
asking
And that's
a lot.
hard. Yeah, that's hard. So, well, dude, thanks for coming in today. Super interesting technology and an excellent story. I think we do need more veterans who understand the problems in an intimate way like you do.
Sure.
Coming into this industry. One, because at the end of the day, mine, your tax dollars are what go to fund a lot of these systems, and they're very expensive. And two, the amount I hear, and I've heard now for a decade doing this, involving training, low-cost training options are how we maintain readiness, because when things are broken or expensive, you don't actually get to test in a real-world environment, and then you're in trouble.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. So thanks for having me, Dan. It was awesome, man.
It's awesome. Thanks,
All
man.
right. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the Drone Wars podcast. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe to catch all the latest insights for all things defense and geopolitics.